Hi, my name is Jonathan Hopp. This is 10 Minute Go, and today I'm going to teach you some more standard sequences. This will be part 2 of the lesson we started last time, so the timer will begin right now. Okay, today's standard sequence, we're going to start with the star point, right? Last episode, I talked about the 3-4 point. Remember, the point of the 3-4 point was that with one more move, Black would be able to create a corner enclosure, and then all this juicy territory in the corner would all be Black's. Okay, cool. But what if you don't really want to start with the 3-4 point? Remember, the 3-4 point is a low stone. So by low, I mean it's on the third line or lower. 1, 2, 3, third line. Okay, let's say you don't really want to start on the third line. Let's say you want to start here. Okay, that's fine. If you want to start on the 4-4 point, it's the star point. Now the star point it's pretty good. I mean, it's flexible as far as moves go. If you like the sides, if you like the center, then the star point, is your thing. You also could maybe take the corner, although taking the corner is a lot more difficult with the star point than the 3-4 point. So for example, with one more move, I could make a similar shape to the corner enclosure, but the problem is that white can play things like this, white can play things like this, white can play things like this, and then my bottom part here, where all the territory will be made, is actually like kind of carved out. So this move does not actually completely take the corner. Now it's nice. Now if I had one more move, so that means two extra moves, then I can make a shape like this. This shape would be a good shape as far as taking the corner. All right, so this would be a much stronger way. Also think of it taking a bigger corner, but you need 3 moves. All right, you also could maybe do this. Okay, this is another shape that takes the corner. All right, so this move, the 4-4 point, is not really about taking the corner. If I wanted to take the corner, I should have just taken the corner straight out or play a territorial move. So the 4-4 point, though, is a really great move. I like it. I like starting off with 2 star points. So I like openings like this. All right, so where you have 2 star points, you have lots of influence. All right, so let's talk about some basic standard sequences. And again, the basic ones you do need to memorize. All right, so I don't tell you to memorize a lot of things, but actually memorization helps a lot in learning Go. So these basic standard sequences, you need to memorize them. You need to understand them. You understand why each move is played. All right, and what happens if you don't play a move. I read Janet Kim's Way of the Moving Horse, and she said something in it that was really poignant. To carry it with me my whole Go career. She basically said that your moves need a threat. If I play this move and you don't respond to me, then I will do X. All right, so you need to like have a threat. You need to have some sort of punch to your moves. Otherwise, your opponent doesn't have to respond. So you can think of Go like kind of like boxing. All right, so let's start with the first one. We approach. Okay, we approach because basically we don't want Black to start developing this area. If Black does not do anything, if he ignores you, then you will approach him from 2 sides. Now this stone is looking to be boxed in. So if we add a third move, then Black is completely sealed into the corner and he's going to have a tough time. He's going to live very, very small. All right, so this approach, the threat behind the approach is, listen, if you play elsewhere, I'm going to start surrounding your cornerstone, and your stone's going to either die. If the stone dies, it would be terrible. But if your stone has to defend itself, when you defend yourself, you're going to make very few points. So Black says, listen, I don't really want you to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to defend myself. Okay, I'm going to take points in this area. This is my eye space. As long as I make 2 eyes, I'm alive and you can't kill me, and na. Alright? So this is pretty good. You also could play like this. Alright, this 1 space jump, alright, is a subtle difference, but right now, the idea is that you're defending yourself by extending and claiming eye space. Now you may think to yourself, why not something like this? Or something like this? Actually, those are moves. Okay, R13 is a very old move. If you play ancient Japanese games, you'll see it. Alright, the thing about this is that it leaves the corner wide open. Alright, so it's kind of a weird move. Most people will just play this. Alright, so now next White's saying, well, listen, you decided to go to the right side. I'm going to slide under your stone like this, and I'm going to start taking away the territory nearby. This is kind of a cool move, right? Because you can't cut this stone off. If Black plays here White Ataris, and then this Black stone at 018 is dead. Black cannot play on the other spot of the Knight's move, because then White can just simply kill P18 and be done with it. Alright, so there's no cut at P17 or P18, so the slide at Q18 does just the trick. Alright, what's the next move? If black plays elsewhere, which he could, black does not have to play anywhere right now, but black plays elsewhere, white will play the 3-3 point, and all this juicy corner territory will be white's. So black plays on the 3-3 point. Now we've got a nice solid group here, some solid eye space, and white is starting to get some eye space, but this is not a lot of points here. This is a second line move. So white will need to extend along the top like so. Okay, this is a standard sequence. Again, the main idea, of course, is to try to divide the corner up between two players. Now, let's say white plays elsewhere here. All right, white didn't make an extension along the top like I showed you in the normal standard sequence. Let's say white plays somewhere else. What can black do? Pause the video and think about it. All right, the pincer would be the standard answer at this point. All right, so remember, if your opponent neglects to make eye space, this extension means that this area of the top here is going to be white's, all right? And if white has more than enough space, he will live. And as long as those stones are alive, they cannot be attacked. So if we decide that we're going to play elsewhere, that means that black is going to play near that spot, and then now these white stones only have this area to claim basically as their eye space. I can only surround points here, and it may not even be 2 eyes. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that the white group does not make 2 eyes right now. So white would have to do something. Well, if white, there's no more space this way, there's not a lot of space, he's just going to block me. So the only thing I can do is jump to the center. And now, by jumping to the center, these black stones are facing this open area. These white stones are facing an area where there's no points to be made. Black can make points here, white cannot make points here. It looks like black's moves are more valuable than white's moves. All right, so we don't want to get attacked. We don't want our opponent to start attacking us because then our opponent dictates what goes on in the game. All right, so attacking means that you get to decide what develops, where, when, and how. So to prevent that, we play a defensive move. All right, so in Go, you can't just attack your opponent the entire time. That's one of the big, for me personally, it was very difficult to understand this, but it's one of the big philosophical points of the game, is that it's an ebb and a flow. Sometimes you attack, sometimes you defend. Sometimes you have to go ebb and flow, back and forth. Defend, attack, defend. So this is one of those kind of, so you can see that in this standard sequence that you have that same sort of philosophical viewpoint, right? So we're going to defend, and then we're going to attack, and then we're going to defend, and then we're going to defend here. And then we've split this entire area in half between both players. Right, and that's pretty good. I mean, white's pretty good and black looks pretty good. Now, if you want to play high, that's perfectly fine. It makes pretty much for the same type of shape. It's not really all that much different, all right? So you might be thinking to yourself, well, why would I play a high move? You play a high move if you're thinking that the right side is going to be a lot of territory. All right, so that is one thing that can happen if white approaches the star point stone. Another thing you could do, if you don't like to develop the right side like this, all right, maybe you want to kick the stone here, all right? This is a move you could do. Okay, you kick the stone, now white extends. If white plays elsewhere, then black will get this Hane, and this Hane is extremely painful. This Hane lowers white's liberties to just 2 liberties, 1 liberty here and here, and then white will crawl as black makes a very powerful wall on the outside. That's not very good. Right, so white needs to play something like this to add liberties. Black plays here. If black does not play here, remember, if each move, if you're going to play defensive moves because your opponent could attack you. If black plays elsewhere, white attaches here, and then black gets pushed down really low. All right, some people may think, oh, this is not that bad. Black's okay. I would think black is doing okay, but this white wall on the outside could be way more useful. All right, so we played something like this to defend. Now white can't attach there. And then white can play something like this to kind of slide on the side. 2 stone wall, 3 space jump. Now this area is white, his eye space. This area is mostly black. I wouldn't say it's black yet, but it's, it could get to be that way in a couple more moves. All right, again, we're dividing one side and letting our opponent have the other. Remember, you can't destroy your opponent. Okay, that's one of the big things in Go that you have to kind of remember. Unless your opponent destroys themselves. All right, if your opponent defends properly, if they recognize when stones are weak and defend them, you really shouldn't be able to destroy them. You don't destroy your opponent by capturing his stones. You destroy your opponent by having at least half a point more than they do by the end of the game. All right, well, I hope you've learned something from this lecture on standard sequences, and I'll see you guys next time.